I'm going to take you back right to the very beginning, not to the very beginning, because that might be unnecessary for this type of conversation, but when you come back from having a baby and you are making the transition back from maternity or paternity leave back into the workspace. You may have been out of the workplace for 6 months, 9 months, 3 months, whatever period of time that was. For those people that are at the very beginning of their parenting journeys, can you give us some advice? I know Karen and Vicky have already sort of touched on that, but what are the rudimentary things that perhaps you would recommend people do, or the lessons that you learnt, possibly the hard way, when you stopped being a mum at home to being, or a mum and dad at home, or to being someone back at work? Who would like to go? Emily, do you fancy going first with that one?
So I think that the very first thing with that is it's hard. It's really, really hard, or at least I found it hard. It's different for everybody, but I found it really difficult. I remember leaving my son at nursery and bawling my eyes out, just, you know, tears and tears and tears, sitting on the tube and being that person that you look at who's crying their eyes out and you think, oh my goodness, how can I help them? And you can't. It's something that I had to get through myself, and it was a transition. I also massively overcompensated because my confidence had dropped so much that I kind of thought, they're going to find me out, why am I here, I can't do my job properly, I can't be a mother at home, I can't be a wife, I can't be any of these things, I'm a fraud. And so I kind of like started taking on lots and lots of extra things, which is pretty stupid, but at the same time it worked for me, because I actually found that in doing more and having it work in some crazy kind of way, it gave me more confidence, and I built my confidence back up. So I guess the key things are, it is really hard, your confidence can hit rock bottom, and find your way to make it work. So mine was, I started doing a master's of all things, because I thought I can't think anymore, and I wanted to stimulate my brain again, and that really helped me, and that was something for me, and it's kind of remembering you in that puzzle.
Can I ask Steve to give the dad's perspective, not simply from you just going back to work, but also the change in dynamic in the home, because clearly your wife, for a period, would have been there with the kids.
That's right. Well. Yeah. Now I've got a very clear memory of my first day back at work, mainly because I said, I'll change the nappy before I go. It's after 2 weeks. It wasn't the first time, by the way. I'm not suggesting that. But I was ready to go to work. Just a bit of a change, and a total rookie error, which was I didn't put the new nappy on quick enough on there in my suit, and Fred just pissed all over me. It just like flew up from the change mat all over my shirt. And I'm like, oh. Okay, so this is how it's going to be from now on. It's like it's going to be a bit of a mess, and I'm not particularly great with that, particularly when I'm in work mode. So I think the one thing I would say, and this is to kind of prepare, and I imagine everybody felt like that, which is, particularly as a dad coming back, it's a bit like you've been on holiday, because it is just a few weeks, and everybody says, how was it? You go, it was great. And then life carries on very quickly. So I think there is a change that happens in you, but also acknowledging that a change hasn't happened in the rest of the world. So knowing that you're still there to do the thing that you were always there to do, and you maybe are carrying a little bit of a secret that you didn't have. I think one of the things we've already said, which is, it's just terrifically motivating. The biggest challenge, and interesting here about kind of Team Phillips, the biggest challenge that Sophie and I have had is kind of working out what that team shape looks like. And so there was a time when Sophie earned more money than me and was significantly more advanced in her career than I was, and then that kind of changed over time, and we made a commitment to each other to not give each other a hard time on that. And I think there is still an ongoing reminder that I have to keep in my mind, which is to remember that the stuff that she does, it's so easy to take it for granted. And so she was away this weekend at college, and I was really jet lagged and had the kids for the weekend. I thought, flipping out, this is really hard. It's like so like doing this on your own all the time. I have no idea how you do it. Interesting, Soph's just decided to stop work for the first time in 2 years for her, and that has an impact, has a financial impact on the house. But it's equally the right decision for us, because she wants to go and work out what's next, and she wants to spend some more time with the kids. If I feel guilty about anything, it's the fact that I've got a pretty stereotypical lifestyle of a bloke who goes out to work and a woman stays at home now. I don't know how I feel about that, but for us right now, it feels like the right thing.
Anyone else with comments on that transition back from home life?
I'll give one, because I ended up, so I was going to go back to work after 5 months, marketing director at IPC, I think now. And actually, I didn't, because I got pregnant again. And I took back-to-back maternity leaves, which was amazing, and I was glad as IPC, which had a great maternity policy. But it ended up being 2 years before I went back into the workplace, which was not planned at all. And I couldn't go back to work at IPC, or I felt I couldn't, because the management, the leadership had changed, it stopped being a marketing-led company and become a publishing-led company again. So I needed to find something new. That is really hard when you've effectively got twins and you're sort of out of the marketplace and the headhunters have stopped calling you. How do you get back into the workplace? And I didn't have any time to do this. And I remember I got lucky, to be honest with you. A friend of mine had been headhunted and said, I don't know if I'm the right person, but I know someone that is brilliant. I got the call, I went in, and it was the only job I went for, and I got it, and thank goodness, because I had to sort of, rope 1,000 other people in. I mean, to Karen's point of making sure you've got support to actually cover the kids, to cover everything else, so that I could go and meet the headhunters, have the interviews, whatever else. That was a huge thing in its own right. So that was big. So then I was starting a brand new job back in media agencies, and I was terrified. I can remember, I've never been so scared in my life, because I really thought I'd forgotten it all, and then I proved to myself that I had. When I got to my desk, I got shown into my room, and you go into, oh yeah, I know about it, I'm on the board, great, you want everyone to realise that you are here and you are going to make an impact. And I sat at my desk, and I couldn't work out how to create a new email. Because the email system I had at home was different to the one at work, because things had moved on in 2 years. I couldn't find the new button, so I had to phone my husband. Where's that bloody two button? He told me, but I use that as a real example. I was bored, I was on the board, and I couldn't do that. And I think we need to, those of you who employ people as well who come back into the workplace, really think about that, because things change and move on, and it is really genuinely scary, so I try and keep that moment in mind.
Very good.
I've just got one quick thing to say. I noticed there are a couple of pregnant women in the audience. So when I was planning my return to work, I was completely aware of the kind of all the emotions and feelings and everything that you have when you are coming back, and you should be with your child all the time, and you're a bad mother if you leave them, and all these kind of horror stories. And actually I did a lot of practicing. So I practiced being away from James for 3 hours, 4 hours an afternoon, which sounds really ridiculous, but was really, really helpful so that I felt more solid when I came back to work. But also, I practiced putting him into nursery, so I did trial runs, taking him to the station. I put him in 4 weeks early so he could get the kind of snot phase out of the way, so he was picking up all the bugs. We did that before I came back. My goal was to come back to work and have put all that stuff to bed, so that when I came back, I could be all in and concentrate on what I was doing, rather than sitting at my desk crying into my coffee, wondering if James had had his bottle. I was lucky enough to take a year, which meant that I had the time to be able to do that. But I just think it's really important that if you put the steps in place, you can manage your emotions a bit more easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vicky.